Good day, viewers from around the world. This is Coco Analytic Lab, and today's data set we are going to analyze is Star Wars data set. It's an inbuilt data set in R, and we are going to use packages like data table, ggplot to analyze the data set. And since it's an inbuilt data set in R, you can also load the data set and you can join in the analysis. So I'll assume that you have R Studio already installed in your laptop. So let's start this analysis by loading our required libraries like ggplot for plotting graph, data table to help in analyzing the data set, and also tidyverse. Tidyverse increases R Studio's vocabulary. So let's load the required libraries. And now let's check for the data set because R Studio has so many inbuilt data sets. So let's check for the one we are going to use. So we are going to use Star Wars data set. So let's check for it. Let's go down. Let's go down. And this is the data set we are going to use. Star Wars data set for the analysis. And let's view it. And now this is the data set we are going to analyze. It has name, height, mass, hair color, skin color, eye color, birth year, sex, gender, homeworld, species, themes. And let's go back to our file. And now let's check the summary of the full data set. And let's see what it looks like. So, and here, under here, this is the console. This is the console. So let's check the summary of the data set. And we can see that height, mass, hair color, and this is just the brief summary of the data set. So now let's check for the summary of only height and mass column and see what we are going to get. Summary of only height and mass column. So this is summary of height. This is the minimum value, first quadrant, median, average, third quadrant, max. And let's check for the mass column. So just Control C and Control V. And we'll change this one to mass. And this is summary of only the mass column. The minimum value is 15, the first quadrant 55, median 79, mean 97, third quadrant 84, maximum weight is 1358. So let's convert it to data table. So we have successfully converted the Star Wars dataset to data table. So let's load it. And now we've loaded the the Star Wars dataset. We've converted it to data table and we've loaded it. And now it will be easy for us to analyze the dataset. So let's find the average height and mass by gender. Average height. So this is the average height and mass by this is the average height by gender, and let's copy and paste this because we are running the same code again, just some few difference. Control C, Control V. So instead of height, we'll change this one to mass. Then we'll change this one to mass, and let's run it. So now, average height masculine is 176 centimeters, feminine 166 centimeters, while masculine for weight 106 kg, feminine 54 kg. Let's check the distribution of hair colors. So this is the distribution of hair colors. You can see that we have only 12 hair colors here, 12 different hair colors. And out of the 12 different hair colors, 13 characters have 18 brown hair color, while 13 characters have black hair color, and we have white, 4 characters have 4 white. So let's check the distribution by height. So we'll just copy this, Control C and Control V. Then we'll change this one to height, and let's run it. And we can see the difference now. This is the difference. This is the distribution by height. We can see that 7 characters have 183 centimeters tall, and 5 characters are 188 centimeters tall. So let's plot the graph. Let's now visualize what we have been analyzing, because as a data analyst or as a data scientist, one of the ways you communicate your findings is through visual representations. So let us visualize this data. So here in the histogram, then labs. So this is how you do it. So let's continue. So let's height is in centimeters. So let's plot the histogram. Okay, I think there's an error. I did not put a comma here, and I did not also put a comma here. So let's rerun it. Now it will come out. So this is the visual representation for height distribution. We can see that from 150 to 200, most of the characters, their heights are between 150 to 200. We have more 150 to 200. So let's plot a scatter plot graph. while the x will be height, while the y will be mass. And as I say, the mass is in kilogram kg, while the height will be in centimeters. So let's plot the scatter plot. So okay, there's a mistake, typographical error. So this is it. So we can see the graph here. If you realize that the taller a person is, his weight increases. We can see that there is a slight increase in terms of weight. There's a slight increase in terms of weight. The taller a person is, the his weight increases. So this is the visual representation. We can see that there's a relationship between what the height and the mass between the two variables. So let's plot the box plot. So title will be box plot of height, then x will be height. So let's run this graph. Let's run this code. We can see how it is. We can see that most of the characters, their height are between what 150 to 200. These dots here are called what? Are called outliers. They don't really contribute to the graph. So our main concentration is within the box. But let me rerun this again so that the color will show better. You can see that now the color is now showing better as I remove that code that I wrote here, the alpha to 0.3, as I've put it back in the default settings. And now let's plot a density plot for both male and female characters. So now this density plots I'm about to plot, I I will use it for only male and female characters. The data set. So let me run this. And we can see that I have created a another variable called Star Wars clean. And in the Star Wars clean, I want to check only for male and female. If you go back to the data set, you see if you go to sex, you see that we have male, we have female, and we have none. And we have hermaphroditic. And so I want this density plot to only be for male and female, which I have done. It's time for me to plot the graph. So the color will be sex, and we'll fill it by what? Sex. Black or white. Labs. Labs will be title. Title will be height density for both male and female. X will be height. So let's run this. Let's run this code now. Let's see what will happen. So this is the height density for both male and female, and we can see that still the height. Most characters have height between 150 to 200. If you go back, the box plot is the same thing, 150 to 200, and this one is the other graph I plotted that wasn't clear, which I removed. So now if you go back again, we can see this is a this is geom dot point. It's a scatter plot. It shows the relationship between height and mass. And this brings us to the end of our analysis. And Arrow Studio has some inbuilt data sets which I've shown you, which I've shown you, that the inbuilt data set which you can use to analyze, and you can use to understand what I'm analyzing. And you don't need to go and get data sets from anywhere. You can go to Arrow Studio, you can go to data and load the data set. So this brings us to the end of our Star Wars analysis. This brings us to the end of the video. Remember to subscribe to my channel, like and share the video.